Hello, this is Mark Ewing, and this is report number 3 from Report Rep, my YouTube channel. And tonight I'm going to review what we discussed last week, and that is the subconscious mind. And we all know we have a subconscious, but for most of us, our knowledge of it ends there. Your subconscious mind is the second hidden mind that exists within you. It interprets and acts upon the predominating thoughts that reside within your conscious mind, and its goal is to attract circumstances and situations that match the images you have within you. So what does that mean as it relates to Wrathful Empathies, my book? It's important because the subconscious doesn't discriminate, judge, or censor. It will manifest success, abundance, and health just as easily as failure, ill health, and misfortune. Your subconscious accepts what is impressed upon it with feeling and repetition. Whether these thoughts are positive or negative, it does not evaluate things like your conscious mind does. That is why it is so important to be aware of what you are thinking. So whatever thoughts get into your subconscious, they lay dormant there and then attract either good or bad forces to you, depending on the nature of those thoughts. So my book, Wrathful Empathies, is all about what if some evil authority was actively playing mind control and depositing evil thoughts into the citizen's subconscious. And what's interesting is I came up with a scenario that matches that, and that is a secret government complex which is broadcasting messages into the subconscious of its citizens. I took this from an actual complex that's called Mount Weather in Blue Mountain, Virginia, and its sole purpose, one of its main purposes, is to broadcast emergency messages in case of any kind of natural or military disaster. It's atop the Blue Ridge mountain range. It runs the Appalachian Trail runs extremely close to it. So what's interesting to me is, what if they were intentionally deep down the bowels of Mount Weather broadcasting subliminal messages to our subconscious for the purpose of planting fears that resurrect themselves after death as the souls of its recently departed citizens experience the bardo and try to either seek realization of universal truth or reincarnate into a higher being for the next life. And the whole purpose of the secret program is to keep them from, of course, experiencing true reality, keep them from reincarnating into a higher sentient being, because the last thing they want is an aware population in the future. So I use my imagination to create this evil complex. In essence, I'm sure the complex that exists today is one for its stated purpose, which is emergency management in case of some kind of disaster. But let's pretend, for the sake of entertainment, that it's the opposite, and it is a subterranean complex that is broadcasting evil messages that we don't see or hear in our conscious mind, but passes through into our subconscious mind and lays there and festers and takes root with its evil intentions of creating fears in our spirit. So that is the importance of the subconscious mind review and explanation in report number 2, and how it could, with some imagination, be exploited for nefarious purposes. I don't know if you've seen it, but there was an article last week, I think, where the government accidentally released information in response to a Freedom of Information request, a FOIA, that revealed a mind control program that it had been operating. So I think sometimes truth is as scary as fiction in that case. So my book, Wrathful Empathies, the second raid on Harper's Ferry, ties all of this together, because as you can see in the image here, this is the actual Mount Weather complex. It sits on top of the Blue Ridge Mountains that runs north and south through Virginia, and about 20 miles to the north of this complex is Harper's Ferry, West Virginia. And report rep number 4 will talk about what happens at Harper's Ferry during the second raid, how that is a very supernatural location, which is feeding energy through underground caverns to this complex here. But you have to wait until the next report to find out that story, or you can buy my book, Wrathful Empathies, the second raid on Harper's Ferry, to find out more. This is going to be a short broadcast, but I think to close out, I'm going to talk about the Wrathful Empathies logo that I came up with. And it's an image of 2 foxes that are crossed. And I chose foxes because the fox, to me, is a animal spirit guide that I relate to a lot. And also in history, the fox creature is known as a trickster. And that's European history as well as American, Native American history, any Native American culture in the New World. But you can research the fox in medieval European history and see that it is indeed considered a trickster character. So as an author, I think it's important that authors challenge readers and surprise them and allow them to think and see the world in different ways. And that's described in a video that I uploaded by Alan Watts. And he talks about the role of a yogi or an author or anyone who's a spiritual teacher to surprise students, to get them to think differently and perceive the world and reality differently. So for me, I think the fact that I view the fox as a spiritual animal guide that I can relate to, plus the fact that it is considered a trickster character in medieval European history, makes it a good choice for my logo. Now, why do I have 2 and why are they facing each other? I think I got that idea from 2 historical characters that I put in my novel. One's Alexander Solzhenitsyn and the other one is John Brown. And if you put these 2 together, you can understand why I have the dual foxes. And one has blood dripping from its mouth. That's because both of these historical figures spoke truth to power. One took direct action that was violent in nature, and the other one wrote the truth and spoke the truth to power. So you superimpose them over the foxes, and then you can understand the nature of the duality of these two, this image, and why I chose that as a logo for Wrathful Empathies, what I call an American folklore company. Because I think it is important that citizens hold their governments accountable, and these two chose to do that in starkly different ways. Both were considered a threat to the government. Both were imprisoned. One was executed. But I think it's just important to kind of encapsulate that concept that citizens can become active and can pursue justice in different ways. And I think Wrathful Empathies in just a fictional, imaginative way is going to speak truth to power. And Patrol Rep are basically those people who are awake and who are going to, in their lifetime, kind of walk the bardo, walk the dark, isolated, desolated terrain of the mind, and be vigilant when it comes to rooting out evil thoughts that have been placed in our subconscious, with the intent to help as fellow humans who are either alive or in this physical or spiritual form. But that is the role of the Bardo Patrol and the YouTube channel Patrol Rep. Sole purpose is to communicate that mission, report on its activities, and hopefully build the patrol into a much larger, more effective force. So I welcome your curiosity, your attendance, and look forward to talking to you soon.